Your knowledge, the services you provide as an individual, a professional, a business, your abilities and your skills and your talents, all of this deserves to be seen and known by the whole world. To become successful in communicating your ideas and sharing your ideas and showcasing who you are, whether you're a business or an individual, you need to reach people, you need to build community, and most important of all, you need to control and own your content and deliver it in an effective way to your audience. In this video, I'm going to talk about hosting providers, what they are, why they're so important to you as someone who wants to create a presence on the internet, and I'm going to talk about 5 things you should look for in a hosting provider to make sure that you're making the right choice that you can grow with and grow upon. It really comes as no surprise that businesses and organizations are on the internet in order to showcase the services they provide or the products that they sell. A lot of individuals are increasingly going on the internet and building personal blogs or personal websites in order to work on their professional reputation and have a place where people can see what they're doing and share ideas and even build a community around those ideas. But between you and your audience, there are some challenges. The first thing that we might do if we're thinking about going onto the internet in order to build a business or to build our own personal reputation is to build social media accounts. Things like Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, LinkedIn. There are so many of them, but they all have something in common. And the thing that they have in common is that the content and the audience are owned by the platform. You can put content into social media, but the format of that content and whether that content gets seen and how it's laid out is all up to the social media platform. And in terms of the audience is completely controlled by the social media platform. And in fact, here this particular video is on YouTube. Thank you so much for watching. I'm glad that you actually are seeing this video. Comment down below if you're a subscriber. If you're not a subscriber, go ahead and subscribe and like, because only by subscribing and liking and commenting will the algorithm of YouTube pick up on this video as being something to show to more people. And that's the problem with social media. It's not something where I can create the format and show it on my website and put it to a specific audience on my website. All of that on social media is done through the algorithm, it's done through the rules that they set, it's done through any changes that they want to make. I have no control over that. Whereas if I have my own personal blog and my own personal website, what appears in that blog, what appears on that website is completely up to me, which is why I have a personal blog and a website. I'll link them down below. The idea though is you want to make sure that you are able to have an audience that you are basically in control of or that you can serve without having to go through the intermediary of a social network. You might use a social network to bring people to your website. You may use your website to interact with people on social media, but a lot of times you really need to consider having both in order to have a full presence on the internet. So if we're not going to put all of our content onto a social media platform and we're going to create our own content, our own website, our own blog, we're going to have tools to create the website and blog. I can talk about those in other videos. Let me know down below if you'd like to see that. But we're going to have a place to put it. We're going to have a provider, a hosting provider that manages all of the files, that manages the access, security, all of the things that I'm going to talk about. Years ago, we would build our own web server, but that is far gone. We don't do that anymore because there's so much complexity to it. It's a challenge. We have the complexity of building that web hosting, building that blog hosting. There's quite a lot to it. So we want to instead select the right hosting service that's going to meet all of our needs, both in the short term and the long term as we build content, blog, business, website, community sites, all of those things, and put those onto the internet. So the good news is that we have hosting providers that can manage all of this complexity and provide us with a platform that can evolve and grow as we grow. The thing is though, not all hosting services are created equal. there are some things we really have to watch for when we're selecting a hosting provider to use. And it can be difficult to select the right one if you're not experienced with it. That's why I'm making this video. But don't worry, if you make the wrong choice, or if you've made the wrong choice, a lot of times because we own the content, we can switch or migrate our content to a new hosting provider, and we can still manage our content and have a hosting provider that does provide and meet all of the criteria that I'm going to outline in the video. In the video, I'm going to share some of the things we need to look for in a hosting provider. I'm also going to share a specific hosting provider, so I will recommend one, which is Cloudways. I think they're a great choice. They have been kind enough to sponsor the video to help the channel, but I've actually been familiar with them for a long time before they reached out to me. So the reason I like Cloudways is because they will meet the demands of what a great hosting service provider should be that I'm going to outline in the video. So you can take the criteria from this video and you can apply it to them, and you'll see that they actually pass with flying colors because they meet all of the criteria. I'll link to them in the description so you can find them easily. And they do get great reviews from a lot of people. My wife is part of, she has a blog. She's part of a lot of blogging communities. So it's not just me recommending them, although they were kind enough to sponsor the video. Thank you very much, Cloudways. So the reason that we need a reliable hosting provider is that we often only get one chance to engage and impress visitors to our websites or our blogs. We want them to have a great experience when they interact with our website, with our blog, because we want it to be fast and quick and efficient. As just one example, if you have a slow load time, it takes a while for people to see your page, people will abandon it right away and they may never come back. We want to make sure that it comes up quick and nice and fast because our hosting provider is providing the platform for that to happen. I've seen really beautiful websites fail to launch because although the website is beautiful, the hosting provider isn't able to deal with the traffic. Even worse is you may have a hosting provider that does a good job when you don't have much traffic, but as soon as the traffic ramps up, all of a sudden it breaks and it's really not able to handle the traffic. So we're going to talk about hosting, we're going to talk about what it is and why it's so important to make the right choice. So think of the hosting as, think of the hosting as the foundation of a house, a digital house. That might be a blog, it might be your website. The hosting is going to provide the platform that everything sits on top of. This means that if you build something simple and small, almost any hosting provider will be able to handle something simple and small. It's a pretty dangerous way of approaching things though, because if that provider in the future has issues with security, speed, support, then all of those little flaws are going to add up and become a real issue for you once you start building more and more on top of it. And I'm assuming that your goal is to grow and build something larger, so it's far better to make sure your foundation is strong so that you can start with a good foundation and you can support and you can build now and into the future. This means that you want to look for some very specific features in that hosting provider that we're going to use as the foundation to build upon. So let's look at 5 key features that you should look for in a quality hosting service provider. You should look for, number 1, a guarantee around uptime and reliability. So there's really no point in having a blog or a website if people can't access it when they want to. There's always going to be risks that services can drop, disasters happen. But a good hosting provider will have redundant infrastructure with extra servers and data centers that allow them to provide really strong uptime amounts and guarantees. So 99+% uptime guarantees. A great example, again, I'll use Cloudways. They actually can use different data centers like AWS, so you have a lot of choices with Cloudways and you can get really high reliability. I've always thought of it being sort of like a transportation company. Say you have a business and that business depends on you getting deliveries done. You wouldn't go with a company that just had one truck, one really old truck. You'd need a company that could guarantee your deliveries would get to your customers on time as expected. The second thing to look for in a hosting provider is speed and performance. And I mentioned this earlier, but it's a real issue for a lot of hosting services. You need a provider that has the ability to get your sites out to your visitors fast, to get your web pages served fast and under load. The key to making this happen is that your provider has to have a clear, fast pathway between your site files and your customer's browser or app. From fast disk access to get it off of the disk, all the way to fast internet speeds to handle large workloads. This is something that often isn't seen as a flaw until the load is placed on the service. You need to hopefully grow your business where you put a heavy load on your website or blog. You want to make sure it's efficient. Going back to choosing the delivery company in my sample there, what happens if you had a delivery company for your business and all of a sudden your business needed to send out 100 times the amount of orders that they sent out the day before? If your delivery company couldn't handle that new volume, you'd be in trouble. The same applies to your hosting provider. You want to get 1 million visitors a day, but what happens if all of a sudden the hosting provider can't serve those visitors when they actually show up? Your hosting provider should be able to handle a heavy workload on the servers that they're providing to you. The third thing to look for is security. We know that the internet can be a great place to reach customers, build community, find new people, but we also know that it's home to some less than pleasant people, people that want to disrupt or steal from others. And this means that security becomes incredibly important, and it always will be. You need a hosting provider that can secure those valuable assets you've created, your content, as well as protect your visitors when they come to your site. Again, let's look at the delivery company example. Imagine if you had a business and your delivery company left all of their trucks unlocked, or they had drivers that weren't licensed, or they drove poorly maintained vehicles that weren't roadworthy. That would be no good. We want to ensure that we only deal with reputable, security-focused hosting providers that stay current on the best practices around security, data protection, and threat analysis. This area of cybersecurity can be quite complex, and you probably wouldn't want to have to handle it yourself because you would always have to be learning new things, figuring out new threats. So you want to ensure your hosting provider is the expert that's doing that on your behalf. The fourth thing that we want to look for in any hosting provider we choose is customer support. And this is one of those areas that really matters a lot when it matters. You need to be able to reach someone that can help you get up and running if something's broken. They can keep you running once you've got it going. They can help you with things if they don't work as expected. A lot of times we want to focus on content, and the provider should really focus on the infrastructure. I honestly think this is an area where the difference between hosting companies is really evident. For too many people, the idea of setting up a website can be a bit intimidating. Maybe you're someone that wants to start a blog. You have a topic that you're passionate about, you're knowledgeable about, you really want to share that with the world. And then you go to do the technical stuff and you get stuck on technical aspects. That makes me sad. I'll try to make some videos here. If it is you, comment below if you'd like me to create some step-by-step technical videos on how to get everything up and running. So when you're selecting a hosting service, you want to make sure that they're there for you when you need them. You also want to look for a company, a hosting company, that helps you learn what you need to know to become successful, either by having good learning materials on their website, or to be honest, by sponsoring videos like this one, where I can explain what a hosting service is to you, so that if you're a blog person, you want to create a blog, you now understand what hosting is and what to look for. At least I hope this video is helpful in that way. So again, if we imagine our delivery company, what if we have a delivery company and they don't arrive when we need them? A package gets delayed, it doesn't fit in a box, or it's too small, it might get lost. Is there someone there at that delivery company to help you navigate the challenges you face? There should be. Your hosting provider should have someone to help you as well. And then the fifth thing that you always want to look for is scalability, flexibility, and cost, which I guess is three things. But basically what it is your hosting provider able to provide you a way to go from a small company to a large company, because that's the dream? Do you have a provider that can provide an entry-level set of services that meet your needs for today, but as you need to add more, can also allow you to add more to your plan? If you're just starting out with one website and that you're just working on that by yourself, then you don't really need a team plan with multiple team members because it's just you. But I do hope you will need multiple team members in the future because your blog is super successful. But the hosting provider that you select really should be able to provide you with different levels of plans to meet you where you are and allow you to get where you're going. And they should be able to support your growth with their services as well. So it's not just a matter of scaling the volume of traffic, they should also scale and provide new services as the internet evolves. That's getting a bit more technical, but in areas such as the ability to move to dedicated hosting, to do app development, programming language support, all of those things you should have as a foundation. It's a little bit deep for this overview of what hosting is, but it does demonstrate professionalism, and it demonstrates that the company is staying up to date and growing as the internet changes and evolves. In fact, this is an area where I do have a bit of a warning. It's be careful of free providers. There are many free providers. They will provide you infrastructure for a very small website. They'll give you some hardware, but hardware and expertise does cost money to maintain, and as the saying goes, you get what you pay for. I think it's far better to make a smaller initial investment in a company to get started with a quality host that meets all the needs that I've outlined in this video. And yeah, you may pay a small fee where somebody may be offering free, but is the value there? Sometimes, unfortunately, you get what you pay for. In the free service, you're going to end up having to migrate to a better host provider in the future. And that can often be done after customers start complaining that your website is slow or that they're having problems. So you want to be able to grow from smaller to larger. Now, I hope this video has helped you understand the role that hosting plays in building your online presence, whether it's a blog or a website or any presence on the internet. If you have questions, comment down below. And if you'd like to check out Cloudways through the link in the description, I think you'll be impressed. I think you'll find that they actually meet all of the criteria that I've outlined as being critical to having a good hosting provider. If you would like some specific tutorials on any aspect of setting up your own internet presence, especially using Cloudways as your host, comment down below again. I'm happy to create some step-by-step tutorials to help you. Maybe you're an expert in an area and the technical aspects are something that you just need a little help with. Well, I'm here to help if you'd like. So comment down below. Thanks for watching the video, and don't forget to like and share, because this is YouTube, it's social media, and that's how this platform works to get more people seeing what I'm doing. Thank you again for watching. We'll see you in the next video.